Welcome to the Lips and Language podcast. My name is Cola, where we talk about life, love, and language. Remember to subscribe, like, and share. Let's get into today's topic. If it sounds like from episode to episode, I'm remembering different things, I'm jumping back a little bit, it's because, y'all, so much has happened since September. And I'm really just trying to remember everything, not just in order, but everything that was just really important to me that really made a difference, right? And so, for example, one thing I didn't mention is that in December sometime, my coworker who had ghosted me came back and apologized. And it had taken a lot of forgiveness on my part. I prayed many times to forgive. I had to clear my heart of it. I really had to say prayers over and over to make sure that I was really releasing everything that felt in my heart, because all I felt was anger and so just disappointed that I was ghosted off of what didn't even make sense. It didn't even make sense why the person cut or why they stopped talking to me. There wasn't. If I said something, then I'm okay, I can see why. But it wasn't nothing like that. And we had another coworker who had moved away, and they were coming back. I wanted to do a catch up and a get together. So I said, okay, cool, no problem. I said, I'll come. As you know, me and this person aren't talking, and surprisingly enough, they called me right around the time. Now, it was all orchestrated. They called me to make sure that when we all met up, there wasn't no weirdness. Cool. But I was like, you know what, God? I'm going to thank you because I got an apology before the year was done. And that was something really special to me because I had stopped needing the apology. I had gotten to the place where I'm like, God, I don't even care for an apology. I just want my heart to be clean towards this person. I had to unfollow them on Instagram, just so I wasn't seeing them post up knowing that they were I wasn't I was purposely being ignored. And so when I had gotten to a place of peace over it, that's when the apology came. And I said, as much as I don't need this, I appreciate it. I didn't say that to them. I was telling this to God. As much as I don't need it, I appreciate it. And it's all these little things where I was grateful that I was still here. I was still here in Canada so that I could witness it, so that I could be here, because I'm not naive to think that I would have gotten this apology any other way. But because my coworker came back and because I was in the vicinity, the apology came. Now, that might mean was it genuine or what? I don't really care. It really don't matter to me because at the end of the day, it ain't got nothing to do with me. I did what I need to do. And they explained why they ghosted me. It was, of course, stupid. But when you recognize that people have their own issues, their own things that they got to work out, then you don't take things as personally. You eventually learn to release it. And yeah, a part of me was upset because I was just because of how they ghosted me, I didn't go back to work. But then, as I was explaining, look how God blessed me. I was getting different jobs to use my creativity and skills in a way, right? And so the end of the last video, I said we had reached to February, and my brother died. And the thing about that, I had done a whole episode on it. I had done a whole episode on my brother passing away, I think not too long after it happened. And I was really just in this state of mind of what is happening? What is happening? I'm going to jump back for a second. Back to the coworker thing. There was a moment where I felt very burdened by prayer for this individual. Very burdened. And it's like this weight wouldn't leave me. It was in my heart. It was all around me. Like I had to pray. And I prayed consistently for this individual. And then one day the prayer, the burden of prayer was gone. Now, I say that to say, when it comes to my relationship with my brother, it was my god brother, but I call him brother. If you want to hear the story, go back and listen to that recording. But there had come a time in my life when my brother, he was going through some things. He really wasn't doing the best mentally. And I prayed for him. I showed up at his house. I'm like, what we got to do to get you through? Like, I was there walking him through the situation. And then it came to a moment where I knew there was nothing else I could do for him. I just had to let him be. At the end of the day, people are going to be who they want, and they're going to act how they want to act. So fast forward to my brother dying. And the thing that gave me the most peace was my brother died on a Friday, and I spoke to him on Tuesday. I spoke to him by FaceTime. And that's when he told me he was in the hospital. And at that time, he had been in the hospital for 8 days. And I was like, when I found out, I texted him, I'm like, 8 days, nigga? Like, how you in there for 8 days and you don't say nothing? So whatever. We talked, and that day we talked about God. I talked about the importance of God, the importance of Jesus. And here's the thing with being a modern day Christian, okay? Sometimes we don't always want to tell people about God. We don't always want to tell people about the beauty of Jesus, the love of God, and how Jesus is the only way, because it's gotten a little bit taboo. But also we're just like, man, people are going to have their own opinions, and they're going to think I'm weird and all this stuff. But in this moment, I really felt led to talk to him about his decision. And it shouldn't be every single time someone's sick or whatever, that's when we find God. And we really should be walking with him, because we never know at any moment what could happen. But nonetheless, I was having this conversation with him about choosing God. And he was telling me that, he believes in both Allah and God, because they're the same person. And I had to explain to him, I'm like, it's not. They're not the same people. I know that's what they teach you, but they're not the same. And one of the most important things about Christianity is you got to believe and receive that Jesus Christ is Lord and Savior. And you got to believe that he is the Son of God. And that's one of the things that they don't. And so I'm like, I'm not pressing him. I'm just like having this conversation with him. But when I realized it wasn't going to go in a direction, I just say, you know what? You have to have peace about where you're at and what you believe in. You can't do both. He was trying to pick Christianity and Muslim at the same time. I'm like, you got to pick. And he's like, nah, I don't got to pick. I can do both. And I'm like, I mean, that's not how it works, but go off. If that gives you peace. And then later on that afternoon or that evening, we had a conversation. That's when he FaceTimed me, and we just talked about life, talked about so many different things. And, he was in good spirits. And I was happy to see him. And he was actually saying, oh, he's coming out soon. And so I was like excited that he was coming out or whatever. And that was the last conversation. I didn't even get a chance to check up on him and here's the crazy thing. I had some work that I had to do, right? Like, I had some things I was working on, and you know how sometimes we get so caught up in this workaholic mindset. And I'm like, man, I got work, but I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna take this time and spend time with him, right? And then so now, because I spent time with him on Wednesday, I'm like, okay, I gotta catch up on everything I was supposed to do. Everything that I missed, I gotta catch up on it. So I didn't actually check up on him. And then Thursday, I don't even know what happened. But Friday is when I checked in. Friday at like 12 p.m. I'm not gonna forget it. I texted him. I said, "What's up? You good?" Only to find out my sister and I went on the road. We came back, and my mom, tears in her face, said he's dead. He's gone. And I was shocked, because I was like, damn. damn. Like, I wish I would have checked in on him, but I was like, I had taken time off. I had to get back to work. That's the thing as an entrepreneur. If you don't work, sometimes things don't get done, right? And I felt bad a little bit, but I actually felt peaceful that I had spoken to him on Tuesday. That's what brought me the most peace, is knowing that we had a conversation on Tuesday, knowing that I got to see his face on Tuesday, knowing that I let my parents see him. We all FaceTime, like, we're all, like, in the room saying, hey, we saw him. And so, like, as much as it was a shock, we're happy that in the last few days, we actually got to see him. And at the same time, this brought me back to my dream. And I'm like, God, in the dream, you said somebody I knew died. You said somebody I knew died. And, like, the next week, I went off to, I left. And I'm like, does this mean that I'm leaving? Like, so many questions in my head about faith and about this walk and about everything happening. And now we're here for my godmother, and we're trying to, like, console her, and then we're trying to help her plan a funeral. And you know the interesting thing? And it's not even to brag. It's really just to talk about God. But we had gotten to her house. I remember when my son had passed. She was one of the voices who was like, great. Well, not great, but, like, she's like, okay, what are you going to do now? Like, are you going to get a job? What's going to happen? Like, it was almost kind of like not even long after my son passed. And it was kind of just like this get back to it attitude, right? And I was just like, it is what it is. Unless you walk through it, you don't fully understand it. And when I got to her house, she was like, man, I wish I would have done more. She's like, I have to apologize to you because I wish I would have done more. I wish I was around more. I wish I had supported you more when your son died, because now I realize how challenging it is. And I only brag on God for that because, A, she apologized. Cool. I didn't need the apology, but, like, that was cool that it was recognized that what I went through was something traumatic. And sometimes people, because they don't understand it, they just speak out of their own perspective. And it can come across a little, like, a little bit like they just don't understand. And although her apology wasn't for, like, specifically, like, oh, whatever she said, her apology was just in general that she just didn't understand the depths of what I was going through, and now she got it. And I thought that was kind of interesting that that's the moment that played out. And so as we helped plan the funeral, as we kind of helped do the program and some other parts of it, and I actually decided to say a poem for his funeral. And I said one that I wrote. I said one that they had chosen, and then a second one that I wrote. And it was such a beautiful moment. Like, I had not really been to a funeral since my son passed. And this was the next, like, major funeral I had gone to. And for me, I was just happy that God had me here. That I wanted to leave in September, that I thought I was leaving in September, but I couldn't have seen down the road that my brother was going to die. And it was only because I was still here in Canada that I was able to not just attend his funeral, but I was able to take part in it. And it's the little things that give gratitude. Like, it's the little things that bring perspective. It's the little things that make you see that what you want is not always what is necessary in that moment. And sometimes, as much as, I don't know, we like to think differently, God does know what he's talking about. God does know where he's bringing us. And so I started to appreciate the finer things. I started to appreciate the little things. I started to see life differently. Now, yes, I was still freaking out over, God, are you bringing me? God, how are you bringing me? God, what's going to happen? What's next? Like, okay, I'm following this dream, so what does this mean? And, like, at the moment, it was like, yo, chill out. Chill out completely. Just relax. Don't be a worrier. Don't be that kind of person. Don't be all, like, just caught up. But take the time to enjoy what is happening. Take the time to enjoy life. And take the time to really just see that in this time period of not being in the States, that God was developing me. God was developing character in me. God was developing a voice in me. God was developing different aspects of myself or of my relationship with Him. Like, I was fasting a lot during the season. I have been praying a lot during the season. We had actually, in February, the weekend that my brother had passed, I had got this idea to pray like Jericho over the borders of America. At this point, we're still praying. We have not stopped praying. Okay? We started October 14th, and in February, we were still praying. And I had this idea to march around and pray like the walls of Jericho. And now I can't physically walk around America, but I wrote the word America on a piece of paper, and I'm like, so for 7 days, this is what we're going to do. Me and my friend, I'm like, we're going to march around, and we're going to sing, and we're going to shout, and we're going to pray, and praise God that these border mandates are coming down. So we started, and we marched around, and on the, I think, 6th day, so on February 8th, we saw that there was a bill passed to break the mandates. And we rejoiced. Like, we still finished out the 7 days, but we just rejoiced because that is the first time in months that we had seen any type of movement for our prayer. And in total, we prayed over 100 days for this border to come down, for these mandates to come down. Over 100 days consistently, 12 a.m. We kept it going. And we were just that glimmer of hope that God, you hear us. God, you're seeing. And God, I am moving soon. In January, He had actually given me so many different signs. He had, one time, He had given me a sign of, that my godmother was going to take me to the airport when I leave. I said, oh, that's cool. Then He had given me another sign. He had showed me, actually, what type of spirits were on the border that were, He had brought me into a room. It was a dream that I had. And it just showed me what type of spirits were on the border that I need to pray against. And so I had to pray specifically for that. He had shown me, I started seeing the word tomorrow. Tomorrow means in the near future. I'm leaving. And so I said, okay, this is like building back up my faith. Because, when you're praying for so long without seeing anything, I knew I was still going, but I was just like, man, I don't know when. I don't know what's happening. But I'm like, I'm going to keep pushing. I'm going to keep praising, and I'm going to keep going. And so just seeing the word tomorrow was like, or it just reignited my faith, right? And there's just different people He connected me to in January that were along the lines of what I believed He was saying. Okay, yeah, now we're in February, and we're praying, and we see this bill that the mandates are coming down. And so January, February, great months. When it comes to reviving my faith, great months. Like, I was just like, okay, God, this is what we're doing. And I'm like, okay, we back at it. And so now we're getting to after the funeral, and I'm like, okay, God, what's next? And I'm just waiting and waiting and waiting. And it honestly started to feel like maybe I got this whole thing wrong. Hey, thank you so much for listening to the Lips and Language podcast. My name is Kola. I am so excited that you are here. If anything I said today resonated, then get in touch with me. I have an amazing mentorship program. It is for those who feel misunderstood, overwhelmed, going through grief. It is truly an amazing time. If you want more info, hit my website, lipsandlanguage.com. And if you want to get in touch with me, you can hit it up on the website or DM me. I have a free gift for you, and I would love to be in contact with you. Whatever you decide, just know that healing, it looks good on you. And I'm so excited that we get to do this journey together. Have a blessed day. And if nobody told you, I will. I love you. Enjoy your day, and we'll talk soon. Peace.